Since it's up, then it's stuck. Why don't you aim at the totem pole? Get a golden globe. Maybe then you would know the roads. Walk it like you talk it, but you driving the latest boat. Guess it makes sense. Your daily mantra is your latest quotes. Follow in their footsteps. Who you think that you paving for? I guess we should watch that Viola Davis show. Make them all mad, then you Hall of Fame go in OP mode. You better rope the dope. You the dopest, bro. Man, I'm the one y'all can't fuck with. You better pipe down with all that up. Then it's stuck shit. You just stuck up, bitch. I hope they bob and weave instead of buying bobs and weave. That seems to be a common thing, man. Avoid the common things. I swear. Yeah. They'll weigh you down. They don't care. I swear. That's how they claim that they was there. I swear. The whole world spinning like it's the fair. I swear. But it's clear that y'all wasn't there when I was marching my way up the totem pole. Man, they throwing bows and they ducking poles. It's like a game of limbo, how I'm going low. Put the team on my back, said fuck the coach. Man, I'm the goal. And
Jay Iris.
Marching my way up the totem pole.
I call him son.
Man, they throwing bows and they ducking.
The name of this record called Stuck Up.
Limbo, how they going.
You can find them on all social media platforms. Come on, Jay, talk to him.
Y'all be one hit wonders, make that shit stop. Your little 15 seconds, his fame is up. Man, TikTok. This is your welcome to hip hop. Thinking about how y'all got here, man, it's so exhausted. Mumble rappers on that show, but shorty, this that jam. When it's just another throwback anthem. Simple so much I can't even tell you what's the sample. I'm bringing bars back. Say it with your chest or have a heart attack. Y'all ain't got the heart for that.
Let's give it a chance to all the gemologists.
I know niggas in the hood with extenders, play dance and play limbo. You pull up, it's uno momento, and this ain't for nothing but lately niggas moving slow, and I ain't even bluffing. These days I'm feeling like I'm David Ruffin. When it hit the fan, the world ain't spinning no more. It's on fire, hell froze over. Life closing in, you can't be sober for closure. I never sweat, I can't pull over. Hoodie on, they rob. They posing. My palm itching to go getting closer, but I'm very different. You can't imagine where I've been. I sleep through the noise. I can't rest when it's silent. I'm marching my way up the totem pole. Man, they throwing bows and they ducking poles. It's like a game of limbo. How I'm going low. Put the team on my back. Said fuck the coach. Man, I'm the goal. And in Mamba mode. Marching my way up the totem pole. Man, they throwing bows and they ducking poles. It's like a game of limbo. How they going? Put my team on the back and said, fuck the coach. Man, I'm...
Yes, sir.
You won't find True North looking down at a company.
Mr. Denmark in the building.
What's up, man?
Yes, sir. I got to call him my big brother. My big brother, because Mr. Juan crossed over that 6-decade mark on yesterday. Yes, sir. We want to say a super happy birthday to a good friend of mine. Always welcome on the show. Are you driving?
I am. I'm on the way back home.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, wait, I seen the sunroof. I'm like, bro, you got stuff flying over your house. Your skylight is the birds are attacking. I got
yeah, traffic is bad out here.
Yeah, but everybody trying to get back home. Yeah, that's all that is over the holiday. How's your weekend? Good?
Yeah, it was good, man. I went to Bible study and church with Mom. Came home, she cooked me some turkey wings, okra and shrimp, macaroni.
Shut up.
Yeah, had me a little cake and some deviled eggs and just relax, man.
That's what's up. Shout out to Moms for cooking the birthday dinner, boy. Oh, more moms, boy. They tell you they come through in the clutch. You got your mama, you got to love on your mama.
Absolutely.
You got to love on your mama. And not just on Mother's Day, every day.
Every day. Every day is Mother's Day.
Every day. Lady Jasmine in the building, I see you. We got a good show tonight. Wow, we got a good topic.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, we gonna ruffle some feathers tonight. We're gonna talk about some things. We're gonna give the people just a little bit more time to get in here. I'm gonna let this one more song play, and then we're gonna start the show. Let me see who I got in here. I've been trying to get on the show. She been running from me. Maybe if I play her music enough. Let's see.
I'm a big deal, darling.
Cleo
Big
Zador
news. Extra,
said you
extra,
better talk
all
nice to
about
me.
Front page.
Yeah.
This Justin bitch is mad. I must be in my bed, relaxing as I stare. Plot scheming, I attack. Ooh, better talk nice if you're talking to me. It's F you pay me cause I'm something to see. Meditation needed if you're trying to reach this wavelength, this frequency, yeah. If I'm glowing, don't disturb me, please. I'm setting vibes, I'm setting energy. They only mad because they
Cleo
could not
Zador.
reach this
She said
wavelength,
talk
this
nice to me.
frequency, yeah. This soul space, they want it. This drip bay, they own
People
it.
don't really
They
understand what
copy,
word power
so
is.
corny. They
If they
sloppy,
did, boy,
but
look at
I
here.
own it. This soul space, they
They
own
own it.
it. This drip bay, they own it. They copy, so corny. They salty, cause I talk about my way. I hit them back with the highway. Oh, excuse me, am I late? Don't you know that this my stage? I let them know that this my play. And I devour at the high rate. I'm a savage, I'm a pirate. A big boss, big magnate. Oh, ain't without the talking, unless we're talking blue face. No Harvard dance, won't catch me riding no Tuesday. Heard I act like a man, I shrug my shoulders if my do say. I wouldn't be a boss if I'm stumbling off what you say. I know how it daunts an alpha woman flexing pussy. Instead of trying to tear me down, celebrate me, hip hip hooray. Really can't ignore me, baby, cause I'm too great. Why they sleeping on me? Price goes up, I'm at a new rate. This sauce, babe, they want it. This drip, babe, they own it. They copy, so corny. They salty, cause I own it.
Cleo
This
Zador said you
sauce,
better
babe,
talk nice
they
to me.
want it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as you know, it's that time, and I say one again, I do not own the rights to this
Do
music.
not attempt to adjust your radio.
But
There's
here we
nothing
go.
wrong. We have taken control as
As
to
to
bring
bring
you
you
this
this
special
special
show.
show.
We will return it to you as soon as you are grooved.
Talk to him, Rakim.
It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a strong rhyme to step to. Think of how many week shows you slept through. Time's up. I'm sorry I kept you.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Pops. I just wanted to pop in real quick. Hey, play our words.
Shout out to
Pops
Jay
Jam.
Reynolds.
You know, coming up, we got Pops
That's the voice on
Perspective.
this track.
What it is, say what it ain't. Giving you the real, we'll never do the fake. Life is a gift, but sometimes we need guidance. Pop's perspective, always perfect timing. Call that alignment. Yeah, he gon' drop them gems.
Pops Jam.
You know he really him. It's something about his confidence to let you know he hasn't seen.
You don't want to miss. Don't meet me there. Beat me there. Pops Perspective, Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.
And here we go. One more again, one more Monday, one more beginning of the week. I want to say hello to all of you who are tuned in, thought it not robbery, to turn your radio dial, your Instagram dial, to the Pops Gem Show, Pops Perspective. As always, we want to give honor to God, who without him, none of this would be possible. Definitely want to give a shout out to God, thanking him for all of our many benefits, and I'm not just saying this because we getting up there in age, but when you can wake up in the morning, put your own clothes on, ain't nobody got to feed you breakfast. You know how to grab the keys and drive your car. All of that is a blessing because there's a lot of people out there not in their right mind. They can't do that. So we definitely want to give a shout out to God for his multiple blessings to us, word, as they say. And then, of course, Exotic Pop. Gotta remember Exotic Pop. For those of you who want to get some of that good flavored pop, Pop and Snacks has two locations. One at 4119 South OBT in Orlando, Florida, and then 5311 East Colonial Drive. Pop and Snacks. Pop in there, get you Exotic Pop. Tell them Pop sent you. Shout out to Notorious True and Left Hand Lacey. I call him Left Hand Lacey, Lefty Global. The two Mongols there that are dealing with pops, exotic pops. CTP Caesars is in the building, and boy, let me tell y'all something. I'm trying to contain myself, but boy, my son done stepped out there. Boy, we got something coming. I told y'all the pins was coming. The Pops Gems pins are en route. They is on the way as we speak. So hopefully by Monday coming, we'll be able to drop those and have them available for you. We're going to do maybe a special preview of them when they drop, but we just got to see how that go. But they are on the way, and you're going to love them. I love them. I've already seen them. You're going to love them, and of course, I want all of my followers to invest in the show and get them a pin. Let everybody know you pick up gems from Pops Gems. You are a gemologist, if you will. Jay Iris, you heard me playing him. My son got to give a shout out to him. Penny Hairstyles is in the building. She wasn't so far away. For those of you that are in the Colorado area and you need your hair braided, my daughter Penny Hairstyles, she's definitely in the building, and she can do some things. Speaking of hair, y'all see Pops went and got his wig done. Boy, that boy named Caesars, boy, multiple talented. He put them clippers out there and boy, had got Pops back in the game, got me looking right. So we definitely want to shout out to Jay Iris, Lakai Homes, the candles. Definitely want to push you that way. If you like aromatherapy, if you like your house to smell good, if you're into things of that scent, you definitely want to get a hold of Lakai Homes, and that's LAKAI. Oh, excuse me, KIA Homes. Thank you. Lakai Homes. So you definitely want to go to her website, and Pops Gems is coming out with a candle. I tell y'all, when I start talking about these things, you may not see them right away, but the more you talk about it, we're gonna bring it to pass. We're definitely gonna bring it to pass. Like I told y'all a while back about the pins, and so definitely brought those into fruition by the grace of God. And so we're working on the Pops Gems candle. That's what's coming next. Yes, sir. Okay. Where we at? Oh, you, and you, all of you who are tuning in, as I dubbed you on the 13th, which was last week, my gemologist. Those of you who follow, thank you so much. Those of you that tune in, I appreciate every time that you do. I hope that the conversations we have are thought-provoking and stimulating and move you in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion, that you would be prompted to take a look at some of the things that we talk about, maybe even use it to judge your own life and help you get on up King's Highway. Just before we get into the topic, now, Juan, you got to let me know when to bring in. She got to follow me. I hope she's following me. And then then she'll send me a request and then we'll bring her in. So I'll let you handle that. Be careful while you're on the road. What was I going to say? Dr. Burgess 420, I see you. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper? You know, we're not going to forget that. So here's what we're going to do while people are coming in. For the next 10 seconds, I just want y'all to focus on one individual that you feel that they need a blessing. They need some positive energy. They need a boost. So what we do here at Pops Gems, we put them on our mind for 10 seconds. We count them off and send that energy out to them, even if it's just you, if you're thinking about yourself. So join me for the next 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, want to thank you. Also, before we get started, good friend of mine, Ms. Braylon Bishop, who we had both her sisters on the show, in times past. Today's her birthday. Want to send a happy birthday out to her. Artiona, I ain't seen you in a minute. What's going on, girl? All right, so we have been talking about a lot of things dealing with family. We've talked about single parenting from a child's perspective. We talked about his blood thicker than water. We've done a lot of different shows, and definitely want to thank you for all the ones that you tuned into. And we've had some great topics. And running across doing this, I ran across my good friend Juan. For those of you that don't know, and I say it all the time, Juan and I went to school together, middle school and up together. And so I've known him. He's known me for quite some time. And so definitely a pleasure to have him on the show. Y'all join me. Just put 100 in the chat or some fire. Yesterday, Mr. Juan crossed over that 6-decade mark. Yeah, 60 years. Mr. CEO, I see you. That's all right. You ain't late. We here. So happy birthday to him. And then this coming Thursday, that's the day after tomorrow. This coming Thursday, Lord said the same. I'm going to cross that threshold. Old Pops is going to be the young 60. And we're going to embark on another chapter of life. And so y'all pray my strength in the Lord. And that's part of the thing that one of the milestones I wanted to really commemorate the day is the word I'm looking for with the pins. And that's why I may do a special shout out. We may do stay tuned Thursday. We may do a little 15-minute something and present the pins and show y'all what's up and coming. But again, we have talked about a lot of things dealing with family, and there's a lot of things that we touched on, and there's still a lot of subjects that we can talk about. But tonight I wanted to talk about how much do you really love your child? Can you successfully co-parent? And it's going to be a conversation opener. If you feel you have something that you want to say, raise your hand, send a request. We'll bring you in. Definitely want to hear everybody's opinion. Now, we're not here to judge anybody. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You know what I'm saying? If you can glean from this and it makes your situation better, well, then, hey, all well and dandy. If not, we're not here to ruffle any feathers. You know, you in a safe place and pop space, but nevertheless, we coming to your RAW, like Big Daddy Kane used to say. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to cut any edges. We're going to drop it like it's hot. So because the ultimate purpose is to better people. And so that's what we want to do. So tonight, we want to talk about, can you successfully co-parent? And it's a trying time. It's a trying time because you get two people that they come together. First and foremost, let me say this. For those of you that do not have any children and you're in a committed relationship, or you're in a relationship, or you're thinking about having children, take it from Pops, hot off the press. Before we get into this conversation, count up the cost. Think about it. Take your time. Children are a blessing, but only when it's done. Well, I don't want to say the only when it's done, but when it's done the right way, it's so much more enjoyable. And too many people are too many young. I've seen too many young people rushing to grow up and mark their growth or their maturity by having a child, and that is not for the weak at heart, and that is not anybody can be an incubator or a sperm donor and create a child in that manner, but it takes a special person. It takes special people, the chemistry there for you to be able to really raise a child, because you want children, or the optimal goal is that we want children to be successful. We want them to be give a contribution to society. We want them to carry on a legacy. We want our children to be well spoken of. As parents, you know, we want to be proud of our children. We want to be able to say, yeah, A, B, on roll, and things of that nature. But every now and again, throughout time, and things happen that the parents end up splitting up. And so that's one of the main reasons I said you got to be careful, because if you're not here for the long haul, you really should sit down and put a plan together. And I know that it's hard to do when you have drunk coming out the club and this, that, and the other, but you know, and always just happened. I didn't mean for it to happen, but some of that stuff, I can't go with you on that. As an individual, and I'm talking to men and women alike, as an individual, you need to really sit down and think about what impact a child would make in your current situation because there's so many factors. I feel like we might have to come back and do a part two on this one, but there's so many factors when it deals with having a child. I mean, it's not just the money. You have to have adequate accommodations. I haven't seen too many people living with parents and this, that, and the other, and it puts a strain on the relationship. You have to think about you're going to be able to provide for that child and a good environment so that they can grow and nurture them up so that they can be, again, a productive part of society. And so it's not just, oh, let's just up and have a baby. It's not like, something you decide you go pick out furniture because you can get rid of furniture when you stuck with the baby. And so as we go through life, things happen and, people tend to split up. And then now, here we are with a child or children, but we'll deal with the singular, a child by two people that could not stay together because of their differences or their or whatever reasoning is, they separated. And so, and there's a lot of factors that can come into that. That's probably a show for another day, because there's mother-in-law factors, there's family factors, there's economical factors, there's all kind of factors that contribute to the separation of two people. And then and again, it's a broad spectrum. You have to consider what society leans to, and I speak now to the men more so. When it comes to dealing with children, the courts tend to, unless it is highly proven otherwise, to give custody to the mother. And so now here you have, a young man and a young woman, or a man and a woman that have a baby, and now they've decided to split up. But somebody got to take care of the child, and we'll get into it later. But I'll just say it this way real quick: it's not the child's fault, that they're here, but somebody got to provide for that child. And then there's a lot of factors that come into play. And what I've seen over the years is people allow for, first and foremost, they allow for the government to intervene in their business. And what I mean by that is society has set it up and kind of told women you don't need a man to have a child. And even in the mind frame of back in the 80s, when a lot of the male population was becoming incarcerated, we had that big drug epidemic and things of that nature, and a lot of men got incarcerated. Well, society, and again, if y'all want to jump in, raise your hand. But society set it up to where they wanted they wanted to control the family, and I'm speaking in certain races. They wanted to control, and so what they did by design was they told the woman, and they embedded in her mindset, that you don't need a man to raise a child. You can get on government housing, you can get on food stamps, you can get on welfare, you can get indigent programs, and we're gonna help you, because here there was so many women running around with kids and nobody to provide for them, and or the father's locked up. And so society stepped up, and this is just me. I believe that they by design said, well, listen, if the strongest, I think the strongest union is a family, if I'm not mistaken. You got a strong family, and the ripple effect that that family takes. There's so much. There's so much that a strong family can do, business wise. All kind of different aspects of family. And so here, now you got we're in a situation where you have a man and a woman, and I'm gonna bring it to a head so we can start talking about it. That that have a child, and the child is suffering because the grown-ups have come to a point where they are arguing, they're bitter at the other individual, and so they find that using the child as a pawn or as a tool in which to get back at the other person. And that's from the crib, from conception, if you will, even from conception all the way up to time that either the child grows up or until the parents come to their senses. I want to talk about, what do you feel, and what do you feel about men that that find themselves in a position where they have a child, but then they don't want the responsibility? Um, and what I mean by what do you feel is, do you feel it's fair that a man can walk away? You rotating, you must be going through a bad area. That's okay. What do you feel about a man that feels he could walk away from a child and just leave the child with the mother to fend for themselves? Who do you think is the one that's going to feel that more so, the mother or the child? Can you hear me, Juan?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you were buffering.
That's
I
okay.
heard you say who's gonna feel what more.
Who do you think is going to hurt more? You got, okay. Well, let me re-ask the question because I was buffering. So you got a man and a woman, and the man and the woman have a child, but the father, the man, walks away, leaving the responsibility to the woman to raise the child, to fend for the child. Who do you think is suffering? Or from a man point of view, I guess he feels like he's punishing her, so to speak, by saying, "Okay, now here you raise them, you stuck with them." And from we'll deal with the men first. Why do you feel, or what do you think promotes some of that kind of mentality?
Well, listen, from a guy who teaches conflict resolution, and if I heard you right, you asked who suffers more, the man or the child. It's to me, it's going to always be the child, because the child did not ask to be here. When listen, we got if we're gonna keep it a buck, let's keep it a buck. When men and women get together and have children and they start to fall out, it's typically behind some foolishness, and
Right.
there's always going to be some lies behind it. I think I think we have to get, or individuals have to get to a place of maturity to let all of this out in order to resolve the conflict. Because at the end of the day, the only win-win situation is that the child is being raised, if not living together, being raised to see a healthy environment. We like to think that, just because we may send child support or whatever, oh, they're going to be all right, they're going to be all right. Listen, child support is not going to teach morals, values, ethics. It's not going to socialize them in society. It's not going to do any of that.
Mm.
So I don't, so I hear people say, oh, I'm sending my child. Damn your child support. When are you going to spend quality time with your child? If it's a man, to teach him how to be a man. If it's a woman, to teach her what a man's love looks like. A little girl's first love should be her father. You know, I mean, so it's so many things that encompass raising that child, that your little child support, it means nothing. Um, your one time a week, you got to be involved. You got to be engaged. And I know you haven't gotten there yet, but that's what led me and my ex-wife to do what we did. because we had to get to a point and say, this ain't about you no more.
Right.
This is about these kids. And it's an unselfish act, but it should not be unselfish because it's an obligation. That child did not ask to be here again.
Right. I agree 100%. And what happens is a lot of times, and I've seen that the woman would use the child as a pawn, or even the man. And let me just say it this way, because I've been on both sides of the coin.
Men
The
do it. Yeah, men do it
Yeah,
too. They
the
withhold child
individual.
support or money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The individual that has custody of the child looks at the child as a meal ticket, and unfortunately, you talk about money. Money's good, but like you said, money can't teach you manners. Money can't teach you compassion. Money can't teach you how to do the right thing. So it's hard enough coming from something that's already broken. You look at the foundation for a lot of these kids that are coming up, and they're coming from already from a broken foundation, because whenever there's not a mother and a father in the home that are getting along, because there's mother and fathers that are living together, it's just as hellish. It's better if they was apart, but but when it's conducive, because again, this is why I said in the outset, and y'all remember this, keep this in the forefront of your mind. When you go to have a child, consider what it is that you're doing, because there's ways that you can have relations, as if you will, and not birth a child. If you in it for the feeling, there's ways that you can do that and still satisfy that without creating a life that is for the first, I want to say for the first 15, 16, 17 years, that long, really is not ready to fend for themselves. I mean, you look at the world the way it is today, you wouldn't send no 10-year-old out there into the world and tell them to fend for themselves. I mean, it's different from even when we came up. There was 10-year-olds and things of that nature that, it took where, the government had to step in and set some sort of guideline on when you could leave a child alone, because I was talking to somebody the other day. We was talking about a child that had a master's degree at 15, something like that, and I said they may have book knowledge, but they didn't have the experience. And just because you know how something functions doesn't mean you've experienced it actually functioning. And so just because you got a child that's really smart, and you think they can handle it, you have to really look at the inside of what's going on, because here you got America pumping family, family, family. We've had millions of family shows, and everything is centered around, mom and dad, respect your parents, this, that, and the other. Um, I can hardly remember any shows where it was single parenting. Everything was always promoted around the family, and families are going to have problems. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the family has to be peachy keen, but when it comes to the point that you've chosen to separate, now you need to move out. When the two people have separated, they remove themselves from the spotlight, because they're not a union anymore, and the spotlight's not on them as a family. They remove the spotlight from them and put the spotlight on the child, because now the child is the most important thing. And you got some people. I don't want to say women. I'm just say people. You got some people out there that are real vindictive, real nasty, and then you got some that put up with too much and too naive. And I done seen both sides. I done seen where, the one custodial parent, that's how I'll put it. The custodial parent does everything they can to make time for the other parent to see the child and do this, that, and the other. And then the other person is just footloose and fancy free. Don't care, don't show up, empty promises. You know what I'm saying? Only come around when it's time when they really want to see the other parent, not the child. And so it creates a sense of bitterness to where they say, okay, I know what I'll do. I'll put you on child support. You'll come around then, and I'm gonna make you pay. And if you have to pay child support, I know you're gonna come see your kid, and that's wrong, because now you're bait switching type scenario. First first and foremost, as far as pops goes, any man that fathers a child should be able to raise and provide for that child. That's just me. That's your responsibility as a father and as a man to take care of your children. If you can't be there physically for whatever reason, then the least you could do is provide positive financial support and positive reinforcement and have a working relationship with the woman, and to the extent that you're not bashing her in front of the child, and that comes up later on. You're not using the child to investigate what she doing, because you got some jokers that'll do that. You're not using the child as a pawn to try to mess up the plans. Like, for example, if you're supposed to go get them and she says, yeah, I have a date, and now all of a sudden you go think of a way not to go get them just so that she can't go on a date. These are all petty games that adults are playing, and the child is like a ping pong ball going back and forth, not knowing. And again, it's sad, but it's true. You get women that are, "Oh, tell me who your father got over there. Tell me da 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 da." And when are you going to stop and think, what is that doing to the child? Is it teaching a child to be conniving? Is it teaching the child to be vindictive? Is it teaching the child that it's all about money? And then on the other hand, you get the money, and the money, to me, child support is just that, child support. It's supposed to go to the support of the child. And as an individual, if that means that's what you got to use that to provide shelter, food, or clothing for the child, that's one thing. But there's been positions that I've seen where the child was okay. The mother was just greedy and wanted, and not even greedy. The custodial parent, excuse me, was just so, they wanted to hurt the other person so bad they figured they'll hurt their pockets. And these are all different scenarios that come up, and it affects the child, because now what's one of the results that you have of that kind of upbringing? Well, then that's the style, the lifestyle that you're teaching the child. It's okay. The Temptations came out with a song said Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat was at home, and he had, what that is to say, he had a whole bunch of families, and that was supposed to be okay. Richard Pryor did a movie called Which Way Is Up, where he had two different families, and he would be with one and work in a warehouse, and then he had the other one. And there's a lot of society that portrays that it's okay to be this this man that has all these kids, and you're not providing for none of them, but you want the respect of dad. You want to be called dad, and you want to be reverence of dad, but you're not fulfilling fatherly obligations. And money would never suffice when it comes to the upbringing of that child, because again, we're forming, these are minds that are being formed. These are patterns that kids are seeing in the home every day, and they take it for, oh, this is just the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like that. They supposed to get mad and argue with one another, and I can't expect for dad say he gonna come get me, but I can't count on it. And then you got the custodial parent saying, don't get your hopes up, instead of and adding fuel to the fire, instead of trying to work out something. And that's why I say it's very important, when you are a co-parent, that you find a way to sit down and say, okay, it's not about us anymore. That contract is over. That relationship has been severed. But now we have to have the maturity and sense enough to say, what is in the best position for the child? I did the show with my son about growing up in a single parent home from a child's perspective. How do you think the child feels when it's Parents' Day and only one parent is there? Don't you think that peer pressure and their friends are not going to fool with them? I mean, we grew up, Juan and I grew up where it was called the Dozens. We talked about mama all the time, but mama and daddy was there. And, we had that game and everything, but we knew where to draw the line, and it was a sacred position. But it feels like now or even say the last 15, 20 years, that, it's so what? I got a kid. I don't have to be with the mother. The value of family is diminishing, I feel. And so they just want to go out there and for sake of having a kid. Now, there's some women, like I said, I'm going to ruffle some feathers, but there's some women that will try to trap the man by having a child, thinking that the child would be the cause for the man to stay, and and work things out. That's why I tell you, you got to be careful. Sometimes it's better to say no. But here we are, and we have two sides of people that cannot come to a point. Watch this. They can't come to a common sense point to sit down like two human beings. The same way they sat down and it was all booed up and all cuddly when they first met. And where do you want to go? Wherever you want to go. What do you want to eat? And whatever you want to eat. And I like what you like. And see, all that went out the window for whatever reason. Now I hate her. I can't stand him. Ooh, he get on my nerves. And da 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 da. And then, and I know I'm jumping, but then, even at that point, the hatred comes so deep that sometimes a child will suffer. You look just like your daddy. You remind me of your daddy. You remind me of your mama. And now, again, we're dealing with psychological aspects. And so what is it about my mama that gets you so bad that I remind you of her? So what did you try to say is you hate me too? See, we don't stop to think about that. Two things you can't get back: time and words. That's it. You can never get time back because we don't control it. And words, you can forget them. You can forgive them, but you can't get them back. Once they out there, they out there. And so now you got two people that can't sit down and say, okay, look, for the betterment of the child, what are we going to do? There's major life decisions that need to be made that should include both sides, both parents. And I've seen it one-sided. I've seen it where, I ain't gonna let them know nothing. I ain't gonna do nothing. I'm raising them. I don't need this. I don't need that. But at what point do you think about what the child needs? At what point, excuse me, at what point do you think how that affects the child? And I'm just laying foundation. Another thing is how quick some custodial parents are to introducing other people into that child's life at a very formative age, and trying to play the role of a substitute parent. See, these are all things that need to be considered because of the effect that they have on the child. Then you wonder why your son grows up and he mistreats women, or your daughter grows up and she can't stand, or she don't feel like she need a man, and this, that, and the third. It's all because of the environment that they were cultivated in, I believe. And so the way society is now, there's women that want to they want to have children, but they want to have children. I don't even know. It's not to be with the man. They just want to have a child by the man, and so it fathers my mind as to wonder, why would you put a child through that purposely? Why would you, if you have no intentions on being with that individual, like they say, for the long haul, why would you bring in a life to this world that both of you are going to be ultimately responsible for? And trust and believe that if you feel that you can shun your obligation, there's a thing called the government that will make you fulfill your obligation. And it may not be as far as spending time and this, that, and the other, but they're going to dig in your pockets. And they're going to dig in your pockets to the extent that they will lock you up, men and women alike, for not paying child support. And I used to be against that. I used to be against child support. I used to be against all that. But you know what? It's not right. And this pop saying it's not right that one parent should bear the burden of raising a child. One parent didn't make that child. But to throw in a clause, if it's not going to be a positive and conducive raising, then maybe it is better for one parent to foster that child. So you got to look at it at all the different standpoints. If you don't want your child, in a certain environment, and you feel that the other individual is going to have them in danger or exposing them to things that are not going to be beneficial to them in the future, then you may have a leg to stand on. But by the same token, at one point, you condone all of that because you knew what you was getting into when you got into it. You knew what they was about when you got into it. And so I say this, and I say this to the ladies, and men can get mad if you want. Don't be so quick to open up. Don't be so quick to open up because, and the lies. There's lies told every day, and once that baby's here, it's here. And as far as pops goes, yeah, well, I ain't got to keep it and do all that. Yeah, well, if you got that kind of mentality, then get on birth control, or practice abstinence or something. Don't play and say, oh well, I'll just go, and have an abortion if I get pregnant. That's kind of cruel. And that's just me speaking. For those of you that think, and if there's other scenarios that come abroad, well then hey, to each his own. But as far as I'm concerned, when you do it with the intent of a way out, just as oh well, if that happens, I'll do this, then maybe you don't need to do that in that respect. But what are some of, and I'm asking those of you that are following, what are some of the things that you feel co-parenting should be based upon? What are some of the things that would make a successful co-parenting, or what are some of the things that you're encountering that's making it hard for you to be a successful co-parent?
While we wait for somebody to respond, listen, for me, I think we're talking about just a basic level of maturity. Repeat this for a minute. Most of us go to a job that we don't like. 20, 30 years. We don't act a fool. We don't cuss them out. As young people would say, we ain't tripping. We ain't doing none of that. We get along on them people's job. But yet you don't take that same energy to get along with your baby mama, your mama baby, your daddy baby. You don't use that same energy to get along with something that comes from your loins. But you'll go on them people's job, and Mr. Charlie say something to you, you keep your mouth shut. You don't go on them people's job tripping, throwing shoes, tearing up stuff, cutting ties. I can't get along with them. It ain't this and that. Well, wait a minute now. You choose not to get along with them.
There you go.
Because when you want that cell phone bill paid, when you want that car payment, you get along with them people on that job. So I don't understand, other than lack of maturity, why this doesn't happen. I said, listen, if the child is not put first, none of that is going to work.
Right.
I think everything has to be, we are doing this on behest of the child. That means there's unselfish acts that may have to be performed by the mother and the father. And in layman's terms, it ain't about you no more. It's not about you. So get over yourself.
There's too many relationships that the child is in the middle, and it's a tug of war. It's a rope, and you'll find that and this is across all different nationalities. You'll try to there'll be instances where one parent will try to outbuy the other parent, and and condescendingly speak of how bad the other parent's doing, as if to try to sway the child. My brothers and sisters, y'all got to stop that. because at one point you liked that person, and I
Yep.
know that's bad grammar, but for 30 seconds everything was peachy keen. So
4 strokes.
now,
4
four
strokes.
strokes for 4 strokes, and now, because you weren't crying rape, but now here the child comes into play, and you can't forget about you enough to think about that child, and then you wonder why they act out in school, why they act out when they go places, why they do the things that they do, because of their environment, because of the mentality structure that they have. Again, you're raising a child on an already broken surface. Every child, I believe, will wants mommy and daddy. That's the concept, having both mommy and daddy. Now, I've seen where one individual will stay with the other individual, put up with all the foolishness, put up with all the disrespect, put up with all the bad treatment, just so that the child can have both parents. That don't make it healthy either.
No. But remember, again, being disrespectful, saying those things, making sure that the environment, listen, this is just like basic leadership. The leader controls the environment. The parents control the environment. If you are not willing to put that child in a positive environment so that you can continue to nurture, to mentor, to coach, to counsel, because all those things are a part of developing that child, then what is it that you're doing? What are you doing? You said your superficial needs are more important than something that came from your loins. I'm looking to see, man. I don't see my ex on there. I'm
That's
watching the
okay.
time.
That's
But
okay.
I don't know if you want me to transition into it. So I just want to let folks know. Listen, I'm not talking about this because I read it in a book.
There you go.
I'm talking about this because I did it. I was married to a beautiful woman for 18 years. We grew up in the military together. We we decided. I'll get to the short story. We decided to get married. I already had a child from a previous marriage. My 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 daughter, her mother was going to send her back to her grandmother and told me just send the child support. I said, oh no. I said, that's my child. My ex-wife, my wife that I was married to at the time, I don't want to call her name because she's not on here, told me, I had a conversation with her. She said, go get your child. We were stationed in Germany at the time. So I went from Berlin to Augsburg and picked my child up. Brought her back. We put it in. We started parenting. She says, okay, I want my own child. She got pregnant. Well, we got pregnant. We fast forward 10 years. We're getting ready to retire. We have a divorce. At this time, my daughter is grown that we raised together, but my son is 10.
Okay.
There was not even a question about custody. She was living around the corner. I stayed in the house. We were co-parenting, football games, basketball games, back and forth. Then she comes to me one day and she says, listen, I'm getting ready to retire. I can't make no money at Fort Benning. The only way I can make the money I want is I got to go to D.C. Will you come up there with me? I had to think about it. I had a government job on Fort Benning. I had a house. I had everything. I said, wow. I talked to some of my buddies. They said, well, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. But the more I thought about it, I said, my son is 10 years old. That's my king. I got to make sure that I can still be around to pour into him. So long story short, I told her, yeah, I'll go to D.C. with you guys. She helped me find another government job. I moved up there. We moved in together. For 8 years, we co-parented in the same house.
Y'all
I lived
listening?
I slept across the hall from her. So what did my son see? He saw his mother and father still behaving like two human beings towards each other, being loving and kind. We ate dinner together. We went on vacations together. California, what do they call it? Cancun.
Yeah.
We went to games together. Senior night. You know, them people thought we were married. We walked out on that floor. We are the parents of this senior. We did all those things. But what he was able to see, that for me, that was most important, he saw a healthy relationship.
There you go.
He saw a healthy relationship between me and his mother. And here we are now. We were married for 18 years. We've been divorced for 18 years. My son is 30 years old. My daughter is 39. And guess what we still do to this day? We still
Go on vacation.
co-parent.
Co-parent.
Now they go on vacation. Now they got to do their own thing, man. I do my thing. But we still co-parent to this day. When my son got deployed to Afghanistan, we both flew out there. He was in the 2nd Ranger Battalion. We both flew out to Lewis together. This is how tight we were. We stayed. She got the hotel room. I got the rental car. We stayed in the same hotel, different beds, but we stayed in the same hotel room, and we spent time with my son. We stayed out there 4 days. It was around his birthday. We spent time with him before he deployed. So what did my son see before he deployed? His mother and his father together. He knew we were divorced. He knew when we got divorced. Matter of fact, we were divorced. I took him to Korea to see her. When we were at Benning, we were divorced because it was that important for me, for them to have a relationship. And I think we did just fine with him. But we put our own personal needs aside. Imagine me meeting a woman, and I'm telling her, hey, listen, me and my ex-wife still live together. I sleep across the hall. Yeah, sure you do. But that was the deal.
That was the deal.
You can call my phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, whatever. You're going to sneak in the bathroom. Okay. Then don't call. But I had to get to a point to where me chasing women in the street and doing whatever was not so important to me as it was for me to be able to co-parent with my son.
And let me tell y'all this while we're talking. Juan and I talked a long time, but we was separated for a long time. And what I mean by that is, from Germany till now. So a lot of this information that he's given is I had already thought of the topic for the show. I didn't know that it was gonna. Matter of fact, I was talking to him about the show, and he brought that up, and I was like, man, we got to have you on the show. It's and it's not putting him on a pedestal, because anybody can do this. It's not just Juan and his ex that made the sacrifices that they made, but when you make a commitment to have a child, like I would tell Isaiah's mother, J. Iris, because she had 2 children, I had 2 children. I said we went half on a baby, and it wasn't always peaches and keen. It wasn't always we didn't always see eye to eye, but I would hear things like, "Don't worry about it. When he gets old enough, he'll come find you." And you would hear about, this. Everybody got their own opinion. Everybody got their own 2 cents. And I said all that to say this: you got to shut them people out. The only 3 people that need, well, there's 4 people that need to be involved, and this is just how pops feel, is you, the baby mother, the child, and God.
There you go.
And not necessarily in that order, because first of all, it's a gift. The child is a gift. If those of you that are biblical, you read through stories, there was a lot of people in the Bible, they wish they could have children and they couldn't have them. And then God fulfilled that need. A child is a gift. And when you get a child, the child does not ask to be brought into this world, number 1. Number 2, the child deserves the best that you could possibly give them. And I'm not saying that they got to walk around here with $100, $300, $400 shoes, but they can't walk around here barefooted. Feel me? So you do as individuals whatever you can do. And when you know that that child is being formed, that's an equal part of both y'all. And so you both have a vested interest that you need to lay yourself aside to the extent of everything that I do now has to be a reflection on the upbringing of my child if you want them to be successful. I was watching the movie The Drumline, I know, a long time ago, but in that part when he graduated, he went down to the bus station where his dad worked at the subway, and he gave him the invitation to his graduation or something, and he goes, "I'm Devin. I just want to know I made it without you. I didn't need you." And and he kept on going. He goes, "I ain't selling drugs. I ain't doing this. I ain't doing that." But you know, even in that, I think that children should not form an opinion until they're old enough to understand both sides, because there are some cases that either side is doing the best that they possibly can. It just doesn't work out for the betterment of the child. So, you know, in those scenarios, you have to take that into consideration. But as far as, you know, an individual, you got to really look and say, okay, well, I see they're doing the best that they can. And so I can meet them halfway, or I can go a little further than halfway, because there's going to come a time around where I'm not going to be able to meet the mark, and they're going to have to make up for the mark. And the whole nucleus has to be that child. Why? Because let me drop this on y'all, for those of you that are listening. That same child might be the one that have to wipe your behind when you get older.
Okay.
And if you treated their mother bad and called them mother all kind of names and beat on in the whole nine, you think that child's gonna have love for you, or vice versa? You know, because women are just as treacherous as men. Do you think that child is gonna grow up and wanna, you know, even in the upbringing, be proud to say, like with Juan and I, we were proud of our fathers. Shoot, my dad, Sergeant
Absolutely.
Pratt, you better what? Don't make me go get my daddy. And you know, we was proud and proud of our mothers too. Don't, like I said, we played the game, but it was within our inner circle. But you know, couldn't nobody else talk about mama like that, because we was going at it. And even though there was a lot of things that may have gone on in the household that may not have been conducive back in the 70s and early 80s, even the 60s, 70s, early 80s, the family was the core, the nucleus. It was to stay together. They even made it to where when the men went, it got deployed to another country, they made accommodations for the family to be there, because they knew the importance of having the father figure or the mother figure in the house. And it teaches, you know, and you got to look deeper. You got to look beyond the frontal, what it looks like, but it teaches the child commitment. It teaches the child how to make sacrifices. It teaches the child how to reap rewards. It teaches the child how to do investments in whatever they're doing, because a marriage is a partnership. And so when they get grown, they get in the partnership, they're not gonna care about the business, because they don't have that core is not in them to say, you know what, I started this, I'm gonna finish this, and I'm gonna do it the right way.
This is the pops. Listen, this is the part where people don't get. And when I hear these young ladies say, I don't need no daddy, I raised my. First of all, you preface it, you're using the pronoun, the wrong pronoun. You saying you don't. Again, this ain't about you.
It ain't about you.
My son has an incredible love for his mother. That I saw him washing her feet when they went on vacation to somewhere, and I think back in my mind, had he had stayed with me in Georgia, would he have an appreciation for his mother or for women that way? Because that's important. He has an incredible love for his grandmother. He was able to see the family unit and how we poured into family. Family is everything to him. Would he still have that same appreciation if he was raised by just his mother or by just me? I don't think so. I don't. Because I know, you know, these college words I learned, you know, 10, 15 years ago, socialization and infiltration. Kids you don't just program them. Kids, not only do they listen to what you say, they do something that's so powerful. They watch what you
They
you do.
watch what you do.
So you can talk that talk, but unless you walk in that walk, you're going to lose them. And they'll get to a certain point where you won't have any control over that.
Right.
See, you think why they 9, why they 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you telling them. Well, I'm going to tell you, when they get about 12 or 13, they're watching. So now you better start showing them. Once they get 16, 17, now you got to fall back and you got to start counseling them. And I believe when you make that decision to have a child, whether intentionally or unintentional, it's no longer about you. You got to pour into that child everything you can to make him or her be as successful as they can. And I digress.
It it boggles my mind because what a lot of people are saying was, if you want to know how a man is going to treat you, watch how he treat his mama.
Hello?
And the
Hello?
way he treat his mama is more likely the way he's going to treat you. But where did that derive from? That's because he's seen a father figure
That's
treating
right.
his mama like that. And I say a father figure because, there's a lot of children that have mothers that'll move on and keep it going and bring the next man in. And don't get it wrong. We have a conversation. It's not pops to tell you who you can introduce in your child's life. All I say is be considerate and take
Mindful.
time to really understand the impact that individual is going to make. I mean, if you're doing it for sake of trying to show up the father, then you're in the wrong pretenses. If you're doing it, you got to really consider who the person is, and you're interjecting them into the child's life, because again, these are formative years of kids coming up. Even in young men, where you get some women that have preteens and teenage boys that protect mama, love mama, and now you bring a joke in. Now you got an issue, and you wonder why they acting out because of who this guy is. Because you have built a child that, in their mindset, mama is just mama and me. There is no man scenario. And then when mama brings a man in, because she's talked about daddy for so long, so bad, that he ain't. They don't care less. It's sad that they don't care less about the daddy.
You know what I hate to hear? I hate to hear single women tell a young 8, 9, 10-year-old son, this is the man of the house.
Yeah.
That just does something. Or the second one, when Father's Day come along, these young boys or young girls talking about my mama get a Father's Day. What?
Yeah.
I, I,
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
That,
That's a
that's
big
one
one.
for me. That's just if I got a pet peeve, that's one. But something I want to tell you, man. I watched my son. He left my house one day, and he walked his girlfriend to the car. He didn't open the door for her. The next time he came to my house, I said, "Hey, man," I said, "let me explain something to you." Yeah, yes, sir. I said, "I watched you when you walked, and you and your girlfriend came over to my house." That's after he graduated and moved out. He was grown. He was 18 years old.
Okay.
I said, "I noticed you didn't open the door for your girlfriend." He said, "Oh, Dad," he came up with some excuse. I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "Do you know why you opened the door for that young lady?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, because she's a lady." I said, "No." He looked at me. I said, "No, you don't open the door for her because she's a lady. You open the door for her because she's a gentleman. That way, on the days that you don't think she deserves to have the door open for her, you open it any doggone way because you're a gentleman."
Don't let her take out of
Damn,
character.
that's right. I said, so never allow that, because he was upset with about something. He went to tell me. I don't care.
Right.
I said, have you ever saw me not open the door for your mother? No, Dad, you always open the door for her. I said, that's right. I said, whether you knew it or not, there were some days that I was upset with her, but I never stopped treating her like a woman because I'm a gentleman.
There you go. I've seen a lot of relationships or a lot of households that, women will take care of a man, if you will, And I know this might be a little off topic, but it just goes to what's going on in the household. And so you see the man laying up, so to speak. He ain't working. He ain't doing nothing. The woman taking care of him, taking care of him. And for whatever the situation is, not diving too deep into that. But what image are you projecting to your daughter and to your son that are in that house? Are you telling your son? Because basically what you're telling your son by action is lay up on the woman, let her take care of you. Don't provide. Don't worry about nothing. Let her be the provider. Let her
Yeah.
do everything. And you're telling your daughter, take care of your man to the extent where he can go hang out and be a man, so to speak. But you gonna make sure. And there's so much that you can't fix everything. But boy, you wish you could just turn one switch, and everything would get right. And I'm
I
not
call
saying
it a
that.
pill. I
Yeah,
call it a pill. I say I wish I had a pill for that.
yeah, because, and I'm not saying that when we grew up that everything was peachy keen, because everybody had their problems, but
But
it was more,
our dads were men. They were
and they
men,
stayed there.
and our moms were moms, and we learned it and we passed it on to our children. What I'm afraid of is that there's a generational gap. There's a generational gap with these 20-something-year-olds, and there's nothing to pass on.
Nope.
And so, this is how easy, you talked about it a little earlier, how the government, but you know what made me think about something, man? The government was priming us in the early 70s. Do you remember that story about that young lady? I think they called her Julia, the maid, the black girl.
Yeah.
She was a single mom. You remember?
Yeah.
Remember that? You
Yeah. No, I
never
see the
saw
girl.
that back then.
No.
Dick Van Dyke, they
No.
didn't even sleep in the same bed. So why are you prepping me by showing me the first single mom on TV is a black woman? But I just thought about something, so I got to hold my tongue because Andy Griffin was a single dad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I almost spoke out of turn, but you're right.
But you,
I just thought about
but
it.
you know what? Even in that, if I'm not mistaken, he lived with his mom and his
He did.
mother. His mother, he respected his mother as a woman,
That's
and
right.
and
He did.
and taught and showed morals on how to treat a woman, and vice versa. She respected him as father, and I think that's what causes a lot of the disconnect is that there's no mutual respect on the adulthood level or the grown up level to the extent of considering the child. And so when you I mean you're bashing the parent of that child in whatever format. How do you think that's going to make that child feel? And
Yeah.
then to there was a situation that came up, and it really got to me. It took a lot. It took a lot for me not to say nothing. I know of a couple that's co-parenting, and so senior night came, or some night came, and you know how the mother walks out on the field with the kid, and the father walk out, and they get the mother the flowers, etc., etc. Well, it was to the point where, because the father felt he had custody, that his girlfriend was going to walk out with the
Oh no.
child versus his mother, and that I was mad. You talk about hot, bruh. It just
What?
it just boggles my mind that just because that's still that individual's mom, or that's still that individual's father.
And that's
I've
her
experienced some
time.
stories, and that's her time, and
It didn't
it was
happen, did it?
wild, huh?
Did it happen?
Yeah, it happened. It actually happened, and these are things that there's a lot of hurt
See,
that a
man,
lot of people will take to the grave.
she can't get that back. She
Never,
can't get that back.
never, and it's and it's
Wow.
and it's sad because, again, there's things that there's hurt that people will take to the grave. You don't know how bad you hurt somebody, and that's why I say the two things you can't get back is words and time. We have to be careful the impression that we leave on people. And when it comes to raising children and you not with that other individual, and this is Pops putting this out there, You as an individual need to come to the understanding that now you have a child, and anything that you felt toward that other individual that dealt with you and them has to take back seat,
Hello.
second nature to
That's right.
that child. You gotta swallow it up, suck it up.
Suck it
So
up.
what? You paid your child support, and she got her hair and nails done. Is your child got a place to eat? Does your child got a place to live, food to eat, and clothes? You can't be so critical that you want to control every penny and you don't want to see her progress. You ought to be happy that she's making herself, keeping herself up in front of the child as if to show, look, just because, we're not together don't mean that everything has to fall apart. So I want to come back. I want to come back next week. I would love to have your son speak on the whole scenario.
Wow.
And have him come in and give his viewpoint on what he experienced from what you and your wife did. But just for those of you that are joining,
Now I can get him. I couldn't get her. And in her defense, she just got off the road from Baltimore, so she probably went in there and laid down, and she's gonna be like, "Oh man, I'm sorry."
No,
But
that's all
my
right.
son,
We'll come back and we'll do a part two. I want to do a part two because there's so much that people have to understand. Like I said, when you're going to have a child, don't think about how how everything is in the forefront. Think 18 years down the line. Think about
yes,
college. Think about how things are now, how rough it is, even if they don't go to college. How you got to set a seed aside,
tough,
because if
tough.
not, again, these are your children that are going to have to take care of you, and if they can't take care of themselves, you're going to be in that hospital bed in the living room, waiting to die, and you barely making it because you didn't want to swallow your pride and invest in that child. You invested to make it, invested to grow it up right. And what I mean by that, give it every opportunity to understand things. Yeah, they may be too young to understand why y'all don't live together, but that don't mean you got to talk about one another when
Right,
when
never.
the other one's not there.
Amen.
That don't mean that you got to bash men or bash women, because again, you have a piece of clay in your hand and you're molding and you're shaping this, and then what you're molding and shaping is going to be what you're going to have to face one day. They always say you reap what you sow. So when that child gets 15, or not even that nowadays, 10, 11, 12, and they cursing you out and they have no respect, you can't blame nobody but yourself because you put them in that environment. Every time that man call you and all the kid is in the other room here and is yelling and screaming and this, that, and the third, and you wonder what, all that permeates the air, the hostility that it creates in that child. And then, they listening. Like you said, they watching and they listening. Then they go to school and they curse their teacher out, and you wonder where they got it from. Or they, or they go, or they go out and, they get in a relationship and they let the other person treat them like garbage, but that's what they seen all their life. So you can't get mad at them. They only doing what they was taught and shown to do. And what they thought was right. There's a lot of abusive relationships that young women feel that oh, if he don't hit me, he don't love me. But because that's the way they grew up. Well, you missed me with that one. But if you don't know no better, what my daddy used to say, if you don't know but a little bit, you can't do but a little bit. And so it's imperative, and shows like this is to educate, and kind of just tell the people, if you are in a co-parenting relationship, forget about one another and focus on what's best for the child. So what if it's your 2 weeks, but the child got to go to do something? Your 2 weeks will come back again. You're doing it for the child. But when the custodial parent, consider the other parent when you make decisions too. It's not fair that you make all the decisions and they just got to go along with it because the child don't live with them. Or I'm moving to another state and you'll never see your child again. Okay, so who you hurting?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that child is going to grow up and is going to want to know who their mom and dad is, either or. And then when they find out, they may even hold that against you and be resentful. So there's a lot that can really go on. I want to do another show. We're going to come back next week. Yeah, if you could talk to your son, and even if your wife, I understand getting off the road, she's tired, but I want to come back next week and I want to talk from the standpoint of your son, what he thought about it, and we're going to dig into more on how the sacrifices that you made to live with your baby's mother, and for the betterment of the son. And then for those of you that weren't watching last time, we talked about it. Juan's son became a ranger,
Yeah.
and had high aspirations, high expectations, because of what he's seen, what he was taught, and the commitment that he had shown before him toward his upbringing. I believe he used that same commitment in things that he indulged himself in.
Oh, absolutely. And it came from both sides, but absolutely. I'll do that. I saw one of my old soldiers popped in.
Yeah, what is this? Stowbridge
Stowbridge.
Charles.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to have you. Listen, those of you joining in, I'm not doing it for the follows, but if you like what you heard, follow me, Pops_Gems. We're on every Monday night. We talk
Oh,
about different topics.
no, Charles
Tonight,
Stowbridge. That's I'm sorry. Excuse me, brother. No, that's my classmate. I'm
oh, that's
sorry.
your classmate.
What's up, Charles?
He tried
Yeah.
to put you in the army.
Yeah.
Monday night, we talk about a lot of different topics. Tonight, we're talking about, can you successfully co-parent? How much do you really love your child? We're going to talk about it. It's been my good friend Juan. Again, happy belated on yesterday. Y'all come
Yes,
back
sir.
next week. We're going to talk about, and I want to open up the floor. I mean, I know y'all got some comments. You ain't got to tell all your business. You ain't got to tell it. Just say that you know of a situation. But there's a lot of people that are hurting, and if you don't do nothing else, think about the children. Think about what they feel, and how they're missing out on things that your immaturity is robbing them of. And is that fair to them? Because at the end of the day, like I said, one day they're gonna take care of you,
That's
and
true.
everything that you put in them is gonna be a reflection of that. So that being said, again, I want to thank you, Juan. I want to thank all of you who joined in. Those of you that dropped in to follow my brother, thank you so much. We're going to come back next week. We're going to do part 2, and we're going to talk about how to keep third and fourth parties out of your business. We're going to do that. So until next week, again, don't forget this Thursday, I'm hitting 60. For those of you that are in the Orlando area, we're going to do something on the 1st of June, which it won't be I'll post it. For those of you that are in the Orlando area, want to come celebrate with Pops as we cross the 6th decade threshold, getting younger. Shout out again to Exotic Pops, to Blunts and Bonnets. They're on here tomorrow night, 8:30. Tune in to them. I think they got another musical guest showcasing them. Exotic Pops. Yellow, I see you in the building. Thank you so much for tuning in. Juan, we love you, man.
All
Love
right,
on
brother. Love you
somebody.
too.
Yeah, tell somebody you love them. Be good to somebody. You never know. That may be the only comment they hear. And for those of you that got children, think about your kids. It ain't always about you. We're going to let Jay Iris take us out. Until next week, it's your boy Pops.
It's time to clock in.
Let's go to work.
Let's go to work. I don't need the iron to straighten them all. They be pressed that I won't fold. She say she need money, well I need a show. Silver lining, then I'm going for gold. I'm to 100, so I'm on go. Say that it's beef, I'm cutting it cold. Breaking news, the new nigga.